You've probably noticed this. When I used to first get into calisthenics, when I would be doing weighted dips, even when I would be squatting in some cases because I train legs, honestly, they're fairly big and I'm kind of jacked. Anyways, completely humble. One of the biggest things that would limit me towards the end of my sets, especially for higher reps, was my cardio. And it was very strange because if you don't know, I was a national level volleyball player. I was a varsity wrestler. I would train like 2 to 5 hours a day. Like some days, like hard wrestling, hard conditioning, hard training. And obviously, I had lost a little bit of that because I had stopped doing wrestling to pursue calisthenics and I had stopped volleyball to pursue wrestling. It makes a little bit of sense that I had lost some conditioning, but it shouldn't be to the point to where weighted dips are like tiring me out. You probably noticed this as well. You probably played a sport. You probably do some cardio on the side, but it's just not really enough. You're still so out of breath and it's so fatiguing and so tiring that you can't do as much in a session that you want to do. And also, your sets are declining very quickly. So, let's say, like, set one, you get 15 reps, set two, you'll maybe get 10, but you're resting 5 minutes between sets. That's a problem. I'm going to be telling you how you can fix that. And there's really two ways. And there's two main types of energy systems that your body uses. You probably heard of them, and I'm going to be giving you like some more context on it because a lot of people don't explain it the way that I am. Because I've actually been like a pseudo professional athlete, like high level athlete. So I had to actually learn this stuff in a more practical than like just I'm going to educate you on how sets and reps work. You have anaerobic and aerobic conditioning. And there's a bunch of other different kinds, but these are the two main ones that we're going to be talking about. You have anaerobic and aerobic conditioning. Aerobic is like slow, steady state cardio. So you probably heard this on like the podcasts or like Greg Doucette talks about it a ton, where you get within a certain heart rate. It's like moderate intensity. It's like conversational type cardio, whether it's walking quickly, jogging for some people. Some people are good enough at jogging to where it is aerobic for them. Most people, though, actually aren't good enough at jogging towards aerobic. Most people, it's in the middle between anaerobic and aerobic, and it's done for a long period of time. So 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk, something along those lines. Think that is more aerobic because if you think about like the grandmas who go in the pool and like do this thing and they do the starfish and they go like this and then they have like the little the little weights that when you dunk it in water the water gets absorbed and they're like I'm getting my cardio in, sonny. Anyways, think aerobic. Anaerobic, on the other hand, is higher intensity for a short period of time. So think a sprint, think a wrestling match, think a football round like American football or like rugby, for example. Think volleyball, for example, where it's the rounds don't last very long. They last maybe like 10 to 15 seconds on average, like volleyball rallies do. So like from the time the person serves up until like someone scores is around 10 to 15 seconds. That doesn't require a ton of anaerobic cardio or aerobic cardio, sorry. That's not like walking. It's very explosive for a very short period of time, and then you get a decent rest break. Most guys actually have pretty decent this. Anaerobic, high intensity for low periods of time. Most guys actually have because what do? We weight lift. We normally go on sprints and play sports with our friends. We'll like randomly like screw around and we'll be like picking up boxes and like we won't give ourselves a rest and we're like because the boxes is heavy and we're like crushing ourselves. You probably relate to this. I'm an office aide. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like a teacher's assistant like in my school, and we were doing this. We were carrying books and like I was the only one out of breath even though I'm in the best shape because I was like carrying 6 books at a time and like boxes with like 10, 20 books each, and I was like and it was crushing me. I'm short as well, so they were like going over my head trying not to drop it. Most guys have this, but you can probably think if you're not like on the self-improvement like healthy lifestyle type of thing, you can probably think that you don't really go for walks very often. When was the last time you went for a walk for like 20, 30, 40 minutes? Probably not very often. And I just want you to think about it. Think about the type of guy who's just goes on walks. Like think about how simple that is, how much more peaceful your life could be. When I go for walks especially, it's normally like my mental cleansing type thing. And that sounds a little bit gay, but just roll with me. It's like a detox from everything. Not going with your phone, having the ability to go for a 20, 30, 40-minute walk without your phone is like genuinely freeing. Going out with someone and walking. Over the summer just ended. I'm back in school now, but over the summer, I was literally out. I was like recording videos, I was like working out, and I was like grinding, and I was doing all that type of stuff. But I would go to the park with my girlfriend for like literally 8 hours a day, and we would just walk the track. There were some days I was literally walking like 7, 8 hours, and it's the most like spiritually, like mentally cleansing things that I can possibly do whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm worried. And you probably relate to this as well. What is it that in the movies, in the TV shows, and in real life, one of the first things that people say is they think, I'm going to go for a walk, need some fresh air. What do? You pace back and forth. So before you go, I'm not going to do that. Just think about think about how healthy it is as a habit just to do it on its own. Because like, I'm not trying to convince you of like, oh, you need to walk for max gains, bro. No. Obviously, like it's going to have a very minimal effect. But if your cardio is your thing limiting you, it probably sucks. So it probably actually would be something for you to put a ton of effort into. But think about just how much healthier and like how much happier you would be. Think about that transformation of you now, if you were to rate your happiness 1 out of 10, for example, think about adding like 1 or 2 points to it. And if it's a 10, then you're lying because you're watching this video and I'm like kind of insulting you. So that's lowering it. So shut up. Realistically, you could be at like not like a 10 baseline, but you can be content is kind of what I mean. I'm to the point to where like I'm content with how things are. Going for walks. I've found that if you were to go for like 20, 30-minute walks every couple of days, it doesn't even have to be that often. It doesn't have to be every day. You can make it like a daily habit, like in the morning, whatever. You can get like a little habit tracker thing where like you write down lines and grids and all that kind of stuff, and you just check it off depending on the date. I have one on my wall. I would grab it, but it's like stuck to my wall. I'm not going to rip paint off just to show you, and like everyone's going to click off because friggin' I'm going to go over, I'm going to be gone. They're going to be like, oh, dopamine. Anyways, when you do this, how this system works is aerobic endurance actually is kind of like it's like your total mana. So if that makes sense, like the total amount of mana you have in a video game. So let's say anaerobic is like casting out a spell, like you're a wizard in a game or whatever. Each rep you do is like you're casting out mana. You're throwing a fireball, for example. Each rep you do takes 10 mana points. If you only have 90 mana points, but your ability to produce force, and I don't know what the third variable would be. Shut up. I'm trying to explain it. Just work with the analogy. Kind of get what I mean. Like, think for a second. If you are able to do 13 reps or use 130 points as like the amount that you're actually able to use. So let's say it's a card game, for example, and you have 13 fireball cards and you can use all of them, but you don't have enough mana. That's the amount of reps that you can do per set. So like the 13 is the amount. This is a weird analogy, but just roll with me. If you only have 90 points of mana, you can only use 9. You can only do 9 reps. You can only throw 9 fireballs, whatever. You still had the ability, though, to do 4 more reps. You still had the ability to throw out 4 more spells. If you were to raise the amount of mana that you had, you would be able to get to the point to where you would have 150 mana bars or mana points, whatever. 150 means that this 140 requirement for the 14 times 10, 140, that means that you would actually be over the requirement to do that. So you could go to failure, for example, without your cardio limiting you at all. In fact, that your cardio would be completely fine. Like, you'd obviously be a little bit out of breath because you're trying hard, but raising this actually is kind of all that you need in this space because you're already training hard. You're already doing the anaerobic activity, and you can add sprints and all that type of stuff. You can if you want to, if it's like really a problem or you have another sport on the side. But I found that just being a young guy and doing a sport is more than enough for conditioning. Because think about it. If you have a decent testosterone level, if you're mildly driven, if you enjoy sports to like the smallest degree, there's not a single part of you that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to take a light day today. And there's a part of you that actually wants to do it. Like when you do a light day, you're injured, you're hurt, and you're having to discipline yourself to not do it. If you're watching this type of video, you've probably gotten to the point with the gym to where you actually quite enjoy it. It's not the case of like, oh, I have to go. Maybe you still experience that sometimes if you're like a little bit new, but most guys who are watching this type of thing probably aren't at that level. You're probably to the point to where it's like, okay, yeah, I enjoy going. I'm completely fine with it. But when you're injured, that's when the discipline comes in. You have to tell yourself, no, I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to do the thing that I want to do, because of the fact that, yeah, it used to be discipline or whatever, but now it's not. Now it's just going to get me injured, and I'm going to be out for a long period of time, and it's actually hurting my progress. All that you have to focus on during this time is literally just increasing this mana bar. That's all that you have to do. And the thing is, you already know you're going to go to the gym. You already know you're going to train hard. If you participate in doing a sport, if you participate in doing an extracurricular activity, as like schools like to call it, whatever, maybe you're in college, for example, and it's called something else, I don't know, or you live in a different country. My country calls it extracurricular activity because we need 50 different syllables for a word. Just adding in a sport, just doing something for fun, going to the park, playing volleyball, playing basketball with people, playing pickup, whatever. If you live in the States, make sure you have a gun and some pepper spray on you, because people will shoot you if you like run into them the wrong way. That's all you need. This side is taken care of. Now you need to take care of this side, whereas it's your work capacity, essentially. So it's how much you're able to tolerate in a given period of time. Longer workouts also contribute to this. So think about this. If you were to go from doing 3-hour workouts, and I'm not recommending this, I'm just saying this is more so how it works. If you were to go from 3-hour workouts down to 1-hour workouts, you would actually be able to do very good at 1-hour workouts. Why? Because you're used to 3 hours. The work cut down to 33%. Even if you fit the same amount of volume into the session, the amount of total time is actually more important than the amount of volume in a session. There's a book called something along the lines of Recovery and Fatigue Management by Renaissance Periodization. Is written by Dr. Mike Isertel, Dr. James Hoffman, and Dr. Melissa Davis. And in the book, it talks about how, like, the different things that fatigue you the most. And the two most crucial things are the amount of time you're in the gym, I believe, and then the amount of intensity that you use. So essentially how long you're in the gym, like training, your intensity, or no, the amount of time in the gym you're training, the volume, the intensity, and then the training density, I believe. And then like enjoyment is after. And enjoyment can be a huge part because that's more like subjective, but it's kind of like the list. The amount of time that you're in the gym, think about it. If you're resting 10 minutes between sets, you're kind of just bored and you're kind of tired and you're constantly spiking up and spiking down your nervous system. There's no like constant flow to it. If you're in the gym for forever, if you're doing 20 or 50 sets a session, you're probably in the gym for a decent bit of time. If you're at that stage, you're probably not. It's not that you're not doing like the optimal work, but you're going to be in for a while. It's going to be like you get home from a long day at work, even though you didn't really do anything. Like a Publix worker, for example, like someone who works in like a store, like makes sandwiches or whatever. They're not doing like a ton of stuff. Like they're doing one thing, and yeah, if it's busy or whatever, customers come in like the completely fine, make 3 sandwiches, whatever. But at the end of the day, if it's like a light day, for example, if there's like not a ton of people coming in, maybe they got like 20 customers that day over the course of 8 hours, they really didn't do much. But they would still come home tired because the amount of time they were in was high. Next is intensity, or next is volume. They made a ton of sandwiches that day. Next is intensity. They had to make a bunch of sandwiches fast, and people are yelling at them, and customers are complaining, and they didn't really have to like make a ton of sandwiches. But the sandwiches that they did, it was like pretty stressful because like maybe it was an important person or like a food blogger, for example, with like tens of thousands of followers, like that type of thing. Next would be the density. So like that's kind of a weird example, but how many sandwiches are you making at once? How big are the orders, for example? So usually people order like a sandwich and like a side of fries and like maybe a drink. Some fat guy comes in, he orders a sandwich with absolutely everything. He gives like a special order, all that kind of stuff. He gives like 2 different drinks that he wants, plus he wants a cookie, plus he wants like this other candy bar thing, plus he wants a lemonade, and then you add it all together and you have to remember everything, and like you have to keep checking at your list, and like you want to do it in like a decent amount of time because he said he's in a rush, and like he said no problem, and he also tipped before like you had made a sandwich just preemptively because he's a nice guy and you want him to be happy and all that kind of stuff just because he was a nice guy, and you understand that like he just wants his food and he wants to get out. You're going to be a little bit stressed. You're going to be doing stuff quickly. You're going to be doing all that. But the density is the thing that's important. This is a completely side point, and I'm kind of ranting on it a little bit, but I kind of want to give you that little bit of information just for the sake of like, it's important to know. Upping your work capacity, back to the original point, upping your work capacity can be as simple as doing longer sessions, doing easier exercises, but for a longer period of time. How I kind of worked with this because my work capacity actually got pretty trash for a while because I had stopped wrestling. I had stopped playing sports. I was mostly just weightlifting, and I got back into sports and things for this exact reason, and like cardio and just health, and just because I like being an athlete. Basketball's cool, bro. I got to do this behind my back. 3, hit the rim, Building your work capacity is simply just pushing the limit. So it's doing more and more and more and more and more and more and more over time, doing so much to the point to where you're tired, i.e. you need to take a deload, and then getting down to the point to where you're barely doing nothing, and then you slowly push it, but you push higher than you were before. So it's kind of like you ever see those videos where like the kids are being retards and there's like a plastic bag with a straw in it, like one of those like go-go squeeze things, or not even like go-go squeeze, the like Capri Sun like little juice packets, where you can see like they squeeze and then the straw kind of goes up, then they squeeze and then the straw kind of goes up, like the liquid inside the straw. So like when you squeeze it, I don't know why I have to explain this to you. The juice rises and then it shoots out, kind of like that. But like they squeeze a little bit and it almost comes out, then a little bit more, then it comes out a little bit further. Then like they squeeze it too hard, some trickles out. Their mom yells at them, they stop the camera, and then they for sure got beat afterwards. Think about it like that. Think about it as you're just pushing your ability, and think about like how cool that is as a thing. Like you're constantly proving that you can do more. You can build more resilience. You can build more discipline over time, because it is an improvable skill. You just need to know how to improve it. And the simplest way I can explain that to you is simply just over time doing more, managing your fatigue, managing your volume. And it can be literally as simple as yesterday I did 7 sets. Or a couple days ago, last workout, I did 7 sets. This workout, I'm going to do 8 sets of the same thing. And I don't care if the last set is completely zero intensity. I'm just going to do it because it's going to allow me to push harder and harder over time. First link in the description is my paid program for like calisthenics guys. There's not free community, obviously you have to pay to get in, but it's like a community, and it's like a bunch of courses and calls and exclusive videos kind of like this, where I go into like tons of detail on things. These type of videos I don't really script out. I like literally for this one I have 0 script. I don't know if you can see that, but I quite literally have 0 script. Like it's just a title. For the lectures, I like write out a script and I make sure all the information is like 10 out of 10, because here I might misspeak and like not catch it or whatever. Yeah, free, paid community, paid courses, bonus lectures, all that type of stuff. I'll give you like the sales mini stuff. And then we can go over to the actual other things. I have free community. Second link in the description. Essentially, it's just like getting from 0 pull-ups, 0 dips, all that, to learning your first muscle-ups and handstand push-ups. Combining weights, conditioning your joints, all that kind of stuff, just getting freakishly strong in tons of different ways to where you're able to destroy people in basically every realm. That's been everything. My name is Brandon. Keep doing the best of doing your best. Trust God. Signing off.